Hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel Rajagoga Seacoder 1719. Have you ever wondered where the longest river in the world begins its journey? Welcome to the story of the Nile River, a river so mighty that it flows across 11 countries and travels over 6,650 kilometers before meeting the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile is not just one river, it is a combination of two great rivers, the White Nile and the Blue Nile. The White Nile starts its journey from Lake Victoria, a vast and shimmering lake that stretches across Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. Imagine a lake so immense that it seems like an ocean, feeding the river that would one day carry civilizations along its banks. Meanwhile, the Blue Nile begins in the Ethiopian highlands, where the waters rush down steep mountains, creating a dramatic and powerful flow. When the Blue Nile meets the White Nile in Sudan, their combined force becomes the river that has fascinated explorers, historians, and adventurers for centuries. The Nile is unique in many ways. Unlike most rivers that flow southward, the Nile flows north, crossing deserts, mountains, and lush plains. From the tropical forests of Uganda to the golden deserts of Egypt, it touches countless landscapes, carrying with it stories of life, survival, and human ingenuity. For centuries, the exact source of the Nile was a mystery. Ancient maps showed it as a river flowing from the unknown, and explorers risked their lives trying to discover its origins. It was John Hanning Speke who finally traced the White Nile to Lake Victoria in the 19th century, solving a puzzle that had baffled the world for millennia. But the Nile is more than a river. It is a thread of life. Its waters bring fertility to barren lands, allowing crops to flourish where nothing else can grow. Its journey connects mountains, deserts, and seas, linking people, animals, and cultures in ways that are almost magical. As we begin our journey along the Nile, remember this: every drop of water has traveled thousands of kilometers, carrying stories from ancient times to the present. This is a river that shaped the world, one that deserves our awe, respect, and curiosity. The Nile is often called the gift of Egypt, and once you hear its story, you'll understand why. Imagine living in a vast desert where the sun scorches the earth. The land is dry and barren, and survival seems impossible. Then along comes a river that breathes life into the land, turning sand into fertile fields and deserts into gardens. That river is the Nile. Thousands of years ago, ancient Egyptians relied entirely on the Nile. Its annual flooding was not a threat, but a blessing. Each year, the river would rise and deposit rich black silt along its banks. This natural fertilizer allowed wheat, barley, and flax to grow abundantly. In a land where rainfall was rare, the Nile's waters were a miracle of life. Because of the river, Egypt became one of the most advanced civilizations in human history. Pharaohs rose to power along its banks, building monumental temples, grand palaces, and the legendary pyramids. Cities like Memphis, Thebes, and Luxor thrived because the Nile fed both their fields and their trade routes. But the Nile's importance went far beyond farming. It was a highway of commerce and culture. Boats carried goods, ideas, and people across regions, connecting kingdoms and communities. The river allowed civilizations to grow rich, exchange knowledge, and develop a society that continues to fascinate historians today. Even the religion and mythology of Egypt were shaped by the Nile. Ancient Egyptians worshipped Hapi, the god of the annual floods, and celebrated the river's life-giving power through festivals, rituals, and prayers. Without the Nile, their gods might never have been imagined, and their legends might never have been told. The river was also a source of protection. Its vast deserts and shifting waters made it difficult for enemies to invade, giving Egypt a natural shield that allowed civilization to flourish in relative peace. The Nile has witnessed history unfold in ways few other rivers have. It has seen the rise of empires, the building of wonders, and the lives of countless generations whose survival depended on its waters. Today it still flows through the heart of Egypt, reminding us that some rivers are more than just water. They are the keepers of history, culture, and life itself. The Nile is not just a river of water. It is a river of mystery, magic, and legend. For thousands of years it has inspired awe, fear, and imagination. Ancient Egyptians believed the Nile was a divine gift, a living being that carried the power of gods within its flowing waters. The river's floods were seen not as natural events, but as acts of the divine, controlled by Hapi, the god of abundance. When the river rose just as expected, life prospered. When it faltered, famine and disaster followed. This made the Nile both a guardian and a mystery, a force to be respected and feared. Legends tell of hidden treasures along its banks, gold, precious artifacts, and manuscripts lost to time, waiting to be discovered by the daring and the curious. Some explorers even claim that the Nile hid unknown creatures in its depths, tales that fueled imaginations for centuries. The river is also entwined with the stories of famous rulers and queens. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, used the Nile not just for trade and transport, but as a stage for political power, diplomacy, and love. Even today, the whispers of her story seem to float above the Nile's waters. Archaeologists have uncovered temples, tombs, and ruins along the river, revealing civilizations that revered it as sacred. Each discovery uncovers more of the Nile's ancient secrets, reminding us that this is not just a river, but a keeper of human history and dreams. And the mystery doesn't end there. Despite centuries of exploration, there are parts of the Nile's source that remain difficult to access, hidden deep within forests, mountains, and swamps. Every bend in the river, every waterfall and tributary, tells a story that has yet to be fully understood. The Nile is a river that has witnessed myth, magic, and life. It flows quietly, yet its waters speak volumes of gods, kings, explorers, and civilizations that have risen and fallen along its path. For anyone who gazes upon it, the Nile is not just a river. It is a legend in motion, a timeless story waiting to be told. The Nile is not just the lifeline of humans. It is home to an extraordinary array of wildlife, a living ecosystem that thrives along its waters. From its turbulent rapids to its calm, meandering stretches, the river supports life in forms that are both fascinating and sometimes dangerous. The most famous residents of the Nile are undoubtedly the Nile crocodiles. These powerful predators can grow up to 6 meters long, ruling the river with unmatched strength. Ancient Egyptians both feared and revered them, understanding that the river's bounty came hand in hand with danger. But it's not all fearsome. The Nile also shelters the hippos, massive yet graceful creatures that spend much of their time in the water. These gentle giants feed on riverbanks at night, maintaining a delicate balance in the ecosystem. The river is alive with bird life as well. The majestic African fish eagle, with its piercing call and impressive wingspan, soars above the waters, scanning for fish and adding a soundtrack of life to the river. Herons, kingfishers, and countless other species make the Nile their home, their colorful feathers reflecting the sun as they hunt, nest, and thrive. Even beneath the water, life teems. The Nile perch, a giant freshwater fish, dominates the river, feeding on smaller species and shaping the aquatic environment. Various other fish, amphibians, and insects create a complex web of life, each playing a vital role in maintaining the river's balance. The Nile's wildlife is not isolated from humans. For centuries, people have relied on fishing, and agriculture supported by the river. Traditional communities live in harmony with this ecosystem, respecting the animals, the river, and the life it sustains. In every ripple and every current, the Nile tells a story of survival, adaptation, and coexistence. It is a river alive where every creature, from the smallest fish to the mighty crocodile, plays a part in the eternal rhythm of life. Truly, the Nile is not just the longest river in the world. It is one of the richest natural habitats, a river where nature and civilization have danced together for millennia. The Nile is as vital today as it was thousands of years ago, but in the modern world, it faces new challenges and plays an even more complex role. This mighty river continues to shape nations, economies, and lives. But human innovation and ambition have changed the way we interact with it. One of the most remarkable modern transformations of the Nile is the Aswan High Dam in Egypt. Completed in 1970, this massive structure controls the river's floods, generates electricity for millions, and provides water for agriculture throughout the year. It turned a once unpredictable river into a powerful resource for modern development. However, with great power comes great responsibility. The Nile is now at the center of geopolitical discussions. Countries like Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia depend on its waters for survival. Projects such as Ethiopia's Grand Renaissance Dam have sparked debates over water rights, usage, and the future of millions of people. The river that once united civilizations now tests diplomacy and cooperation. Beyond politics, the Nile continues to support millions of people who rely on it for farming, fishing, and drinking water. Cities like Cairo and Khartoum rise along its banks, their lives intertwined with the river's rhythms. Even in an era of skyscrapers and highways, the Nile remains a lifeline. Tourism along the river is booming. Luxury Nile cruises, historical tours of ancient temples, and explorations of the famous Nile Delta attract visitors from around the world. Tourists marvel at the blend of nature and history, experiencing the same awe that ancient travelers felt thousands of years ago. Yet the modern Nile faces threats. Pollution, climate change, and overuse endanger this ancient lifeline. Governments and communities are now challenged to protect it, ensuring that future generations can witness the same majesty, mystery, and abundance that the Nile has offered for millennia. The Nile today is a river of progress and challenge, where human ambition meets nature's power. It continues to inspire, provide, and sustain, proving that even in the modern age, some rivers remain timeless and indispensable. The Nile is full of surprises, and beyond its history, geography, and wildlife, it hides fascinating facts and amazing stories that will leave you in awe. Let's dive into some of the most incredible tidbits about this legendary river. Did you know that the Nile flows north? Unlike most rivers that travel from north to south, the Nile defies the norm, winding its way from the heart of Africa all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. It's as if the river itself refuses to follow ordinary rules. The ancient Egyptians were so observant that they could predict the annual floods with incredible accuracy. They used a system called nilometers, special structures built along the river to measure water levels. This allowed them to plan their agriculture and survive in a land that could easily turn against them. The Nile is also intertwined with some of history's most legendary figures. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, used the Nile not just for travel and trade, but as a tool for diplomacy, power, and even romance. Her story continues to captivate imaginations across the world. Despite being the longest river, the Nile is not the widest. That title belongs to the Amazon River. Yet the Nile's influence on human civilization, far surpasses that of almost any other river on Earth. Explorers risked life and limb for centuries trying to chart the Nile's mysterious course. From deserts to mountains, from rapids to hidden swamps, the journey was perilous. Yet each explorer added to the world's understanding of this great river, proving that curiosity and courage often go hand in hand. And here's something astonishing. The Nile has been a silent witness to history for thousands of years. Empires rose, cities flourished, and cultures evolved. All along its banks, every current, every ripple carries whispers of the past, connecting us to people who lived thousands of years ago. The Nile is more than water flowing through land. It is a river of life, legend, and wonder, a natural marvel that continues to inspire curiosity, respect, and admiration. So next time you hear the name Nile, remember, it's not just a river, it's a living story, stretching across continents, centuries, and civilizations. As our journey along the mighty Nile comes to an end, it's clear that this river is much more than a simple stretch of water. It is a living thread connecting history, nature, and humanity. A force that has shaped civilizations, inspired legends, and supported life for thousands of years. From its mysterious sources in the Ethiopian highlands and Lake Victoria, through deserts, lush plains, and vibrant cities, the Nile has carried dreams, ambitions, and survival along its banks. It has been worshipped as divine, feared as a threat, and celebrated as the lifeline of nations. The Nile reminds us of the power of nature, its ability to give, sustain, and challenge life. It teaches us that water is not just a resource, but a gift, a force, and a story that connects past, present, and future. Even today, in a world of modern technology and fast-paced life, the Nile continues to inspire awe and respect. Its waters sustain millions, its history fascinates scholars, and its legacy remains timeless. So whether you are a lover of history, a fan of nature, or a curious traveler, the Nile has a story for you. A story of life, survival, and wonder. Thank you for joining this incredible journey along the longest river in the world. Remember, the Nile is not just a river flowing through Africa. It is a river flowing through time, civilizations, and dreams. If this journey inspired you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and keep exploring the wonders of our amazing world. After all, there's so much more waiting to be discovered, and every river has a story worth telling. So friends, this was today's amazing information. Hope you liked this video and learned something new. If you found the video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you again in the next video with another new and surprising thing. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned to learn. Jai Goga Sikatarma.